What I can tell you is that there's a difference between what people think in the academic community and in actual clinical practice, and that's one of the reasons why I left Penn, because in the academic community, eventually over time, I wore people down. So they began to accept naltrexone was a good effective treatment. And then people are doing studies where they said, and the standard treatment naltrexone, which is hilarious to me because when it first came out, I was a heretic and people didn't believe the results. And now people are doing studies where they said, compared to the standard treatment naltrexone. So we won the battle there in the academic community, but it didn't cross over into the treatment community. And so I asked the question, why is that? And people would say things like, well, don't you know naltrexone has all these terrible side effects, or it's too expensive, or it really only works for a certain percent of people, a small percent of people, or its effects are modest at best. And I said, well, that's not what I find in my research. I don't know. Maybe there's something different in the clinical population. So I said, okay, let me set up a model treatment program. So I set up the Volpicelli Center, and I ran it just like a clinic, but it was based on using evidence-based treatment approaches. What I was doing in research, I just applied in a clinical setting, and I found the results were just as good in clinical practice as they were in the research studies. And so then I said, look, you can do this. And I still find resistance. And now I'm beginning to wonder what's the genesis of that resistance. And sometimes I wonder if the idea that naltrexone could be effective is offensive to certain people's models.